Long ago, the Yuta of Awaniko gathered on the Fanged Mountain and spoke to the moon. The moon, charmed by their attention and drunk on offerings of plum wine, told the rumors she knew. The earth spirits beneath the island were in revolt, tired of animals, women, and men crawling on their backs. Soon the mountain would erupt, showering the people of Awaniko in ash and putting an end to lives untold. The Yuta went to work to save the island and its people. They consulted every spirit of undoing, but the spirits below were too fearsome and too fast. Yet, in their final moments, the Yuta still managed to chant the magic of conclusion. A great cloud arose from the crater in Awaniko's heart, and their magic held and hardened it, where it remains to this day. A great nebulith of suspended ash and solid steam. All right, dear viewers, I hope you can forgive the cliched opening, but I really like this book. The Nebulith by Zach S. and Alex Hopson, Lamentations of the Flame Princess. I really like this book. It's beautiful. It's excellent quality, like you're always going to get with Lamentations of the Flame Princess. But it's got some great stuff in it. I'm already starting to mine it for my Gods of the Forbidden North campaign. There's karate school rules in here and martial arts rules, and I have a player who's playing a monk, and so we use some of the rules in here and even from the Oriental Adventures book. And kind of started creating his own thing. It's a lot of fun, and So let's get into it. I'm going to run you through the PDF and just kind of hit some highlights. But book is still available. LOTFP store. PDFs on drive-through. What is the Nebulith? Well, as the opening video says, it's like this volcanic eruption that got solidified, and it's 6 miles wide, 8 miles tall. It's described as a giga dungeon. Okay. There's all kinds of stuff in it, and as you can see, surrounding it is something called the Collar. It's a shanty town that's kind of built up. It's described as kind of like a 19th century gold rush town that's kind of like popped up. Very crowded, narrow streets. It kind of reminds me of in the 90s there was a game called Mordheim by Games Workshop. Skirmish game, miniature skirmish game, but like the terrain, you were encouraged to make terrain with multiple levels, so like you could have like your rat men fighting an ogre on a rooftop while the Marienburgers were shooting their pistols at a chaos beast down in the alley below, and it was really dynamic and really fun, and that's the vibe I get from the Collar. But the book is a full campaign that takes place in a feudal Japan, 1600s, right? And Awaniko is this island that the Nebulith rests on, and it mysteriously disappeared from the world maps and our memories for some reason. Who knows what happened? But that's essentially, consistent with the Lamentations of the Flame Princess implied setting of the 17th century. But you could easily put this in any Asian-like setting if you wanted to. I really like this opening piece of art here. It's a 2-page spread, as you can see. I like this too. You also got these pterodactyl creatures that will eat your characters. But there's 4 basic areas of exploration for your players. There's the coast, the jungle, the Collar itself, and then of course the Nebulith. There is a lot to do here. It's not just some sort of mega dungeon. It's this entire world, really, that you can explore. The Nebulith itself is split up into 3 broad sections. The central Nebulith is where a lot of your adventuring is probably going to happen, but then you got the lower depths where you got demons that's below the sea, so there's underwater entrances and stuff, and then up on the upper reach it gets really weird. up there. Really weird. But what's interesting is the Nebulith really seems to take on that the concept of the mega dungeon as the underworld, but it also, with the concept of the collar, it's also taking on a very practical approach. Like, what would happen if you had like this place that was just filled with treasure and adventurers are flocking to it, right? How is it going to change the culture and the economy, right? So I really love that about this. It's as you see a lot with Lamentations, it's challenging a lot of like what is considered bog standard in the industry. And there it is in all its glory, right? There are some spots that people know about in the dungeon, or the Giga Dungeon, the Nebulith. But most of the time, you, the game master, are going to kind of design your own little areas, and that's going to be connected to plot hooks and adventure hooks that your players uncover as they explore Awaniko. This right here is actually my favorite 2-page spread image here. You got this arm severed flying through the air. I love it. This area, this section of the book, goes into a lot of the background and culture and whatnot, and it's not hitting you in the face. It gives you just enough to run the game and have your players have this immersive experience. You're not going to get bogged down in all this minutia. The different languages, for example, you can find. There's also some brief discussion about the factions that are at play here. So you have like the daimyo versus the mainland. That's like, because you have Lord Falling Wave controls Awaniko, but he's got a guy he owes fealty to, the shogun, right? But you also have the islanders who have their own king, and so like he's dealing with them as well. And then you got these martial arts schools that are in competition. Then you got the pirates, right? And then you got some of the monsters and demons and the spirits, right? And then if you include the core rule book, you got the Europeans showing up. Like, there's a lot that can happen. It's really wild. This art, by the way, is fantastic. Here's the people of Awaniko, the day-to-day life. I really love this image too. They have this immortality thing working for them. There's some special rules, not a lot, but I like it when someone does this because it allows the setting to have a little bit of reality to it. It's imposed as opposed to just some fluff, right? Like, so you have a disguise skill for your ninjas. It operates just like the other skills from Lamentations. It's a D6. The close quarter fighting, if you're adventuring in the collar, it is packed. You got people living on top of each other, narrow streets, so like you have disadvantage depending on what kind of weapon you're using, if it's too big, kind of thing. New rules for armor. You got dueling rules, which are a lot of fun because you can get all kinds of cool injuries. There's some grappling rules that are different from the ones in the main book. Both work. That's, to me, it's a preference issue on that. And then we get into the character classes. So you have the karate master, and this is where a lot of like the karate schools and the martial arts stuff comes into play. They have a bunch in this book that allow you to do all kinds of things like disarm people, jump kicks and things. It's really, really neat. And I talked to actually ask Zach about this briefly at the LotFP Discord server, because years ago he wrote a blog post called, something to the effect of, if you're going to be a swashbuckler, be a swashbuckler. And it's like encouraging players who are playing fighters to do the thing, like disarming people and jumping off banisters and swinging on chandeliers and knocking things over. And how I run fighters and Lamentations is very similar. Like, you have this attack bonus that's increasing. So if you want to disarm someone, just make a roll, right? And if it succeeds, you disarmed him, right? So I said to him, like, I asked, like, how does this? Did it work? Did these like karate masters, and you'll see like the samurai and whatnot, did they outshine them? And he's like, no, they were playtesting both standard classes and these new classes together, and they both had their own thing going. And I think that's great because that'll allow the Occidental characters, their game mechanics are going to feel different from the Oriental characters, right? Which kind of adds to that like sense of immersion because they're just different fighting styles, right? So I love that. I'm going to butcher this. Kijimuna Hunter. These are like Kijimuna Hunters. They're like these elf-like creatures from the jungle. They have some spells. You got your ninjas. Gotta have ninjas. They have some special abilities. The pirates are cool. They have this ability called Canny Imitation, where if they observe someone doing a thing, they can pull it off themselves. But they also have the D100 advancement charts here. Similar to some other things that Zach has made, like in Red and Pleasant Land, the Alice. I love this picture of the samurai. Samurai's pretty badass. And they too also have the D100 advancement table. This is the Yuta. They're like the cleric. They have their own spell list, and they also have this like curse that they can do. And there's new spells. They're in the back of the book. But yeah, that's the new character classes. The Bestiary is here. Couple things about it. There's a lot of cool monsters, but I really wish there was some more. At the back of this section, he's got a list of some of his other publications where those monsters might fit, right? Which is cool. And, this is an OSR game, so if you have the Oriental Adventures book, you can easily port those monsters in too, but I would have loved to see more, because this section is really beautiful. However, I think some of the utility was taken because, this is not easy to read, quick reference if you're running at a table, but it is a really beautiful section of the book. I just love what he's done here. The Mist Woman. She's like this. She's one of the big guys. I don't think she's a big bad, but she's up near the top of the Nebulith. But you got all kinds of Onai and stuff in here. Crazy, weird creatures you can find in the jungle. And my co-host Gary likes to say that art helps make a product because it facilitates the immersion. It gives players an idea what to expect and what's going on. And I would say 9 times, I don't want to disagree with him, but I think 9 times out of 10 when you're talking bog standard fantasy and you're getting the same kind of cartoony style, it doesn't really work for me. It doesn't register. It's not like Clyde Caldwell or Larry Elmore. What back in the day when I first got into this hobby, it was like, whoa, that stuff is so immersive, and I this could be real. I get the same vibe coming from the art that Zach's done here. It just really, I want to make a samurai. I look at this and I want to make a samurai. I want to make a ninja or something. It's just really well done. Here's the list of other potential monsters you can use. Okay, typical cloud scrape. That's what adventurers are called. They're called cloud scrapers because they're going up into this Giga Dungeon way up high, right? And this is a very important section to read because it helps you, the game master, work with this, because it's not a fully mapped out thing like Ruins of Undermountain or something like that. It's how could you map it out? It's 6 miles. It's a 6 mile hex, 8 miles up. I don't know the mathematical formula for figuring out the cubic area of a cylinder, but that's a lot of that's a lot of space. That's a lot of possibilities there, right? So strongly encourage you to read that section. Landmarks. Okay, so this is, like I said, it's not just a Nebulith. You have an entire island to explore, right? And it goes into some of the keyed locations, what's there, including where the karate dojos are, where castles are, where some dungeons might be, like the Crypt of the Dozen Kings. But in the back of the book, in the appendices, there's all these tables for random encounters in the jungle, in the collar, stuff for the Nebulith, like what kind of smells and like odd items or landmarks might be inside the Nebulith. Same thing out in the jungle. There's great random tables for name generators, what kind of food might be at an inn or a tavern, all this stuff to really help immersion. One of my favorite tables is actually the one to help you come up with your own martial arts names, like Amazing Flying Iron Fist, things like that. It's fun. It's fun. So here is a great spread of the collar. Like you really get a sense of like how dense it is, and and what kind of like adventures you might be getting into, right? Right here is a bunch of NPCs that can act as patrons and quest givers and things like that. But they're, like Dead Blossom Takako. Very cool, right? Here's the castle of, I think this is the king, yep. And then you have Lord Falling Wave's castle, and again, they are factions that can help generate plot hooks and adventure seeds. Then you've got the dojos and their particular style of martial art that your characters can learn, and where they're located. The Crypt of the Dozen Kings. All right, so there's a couple locations that have been mapped out, but it's in Zach's style, which I know some people in the OSR don't like, so you're probably not going to like this section of the book. I think some people refer to it as art punk, and I think that I don't like using that because I believe it's intended to be derogatory. I'm indifferent. Like I can make use of this. You know what I mean? I have Maze of the Blue Medusa. I haven't run it, but that's just because I haven't had an opportunity. It's not because no one wants to. You know what I mean? So I could make use of this, but at the end of the day, though, you're going to be generating your own maps anyway for going into the Giga Dungeon. Oh yeah, there's a dragon in a cove somewhere. I love it. Anyway, so yeah, you're going to be making your own maps anyway, so I don't think it's going to be too distracting. And frankly, some of this stuff is consistent with like the art direction of the book. So like it would be weird, I think, if all of a sudden you had like a graph paper insert or something, Death and the Blue Jade Pavilion. This is a really weird section, and it's located near the top of the Giga Dungeon. Basically, if a character dies, there's a series of questions that are asked, and what happens post-death will determine like how you answered the questions. That could involve them like reappearing where they last slept, or they could roll a new character with some bonuses. It's really wild. We have a couple artifacts here. The Black Hibiscus Scroll and the 10,000 Demon Hand. Love that. Drums of the Fang Emperor. The Gongs of Inversion. Here's like the faction, like just what their goals are and stuff. Nicely placed right here. The Nebulith can be destroyed. I'm not going to go over it. You'll have to read it yourself. And then there's some dungeons and locations in the Nebulith. Again, this is done in Zach's style. It might not be for you. Again, I can make it work. So there's some flowcharts here. Here's the spells, and then we're getting into the I gotta mention this. There is a summon spirit spell which functions very similar to the summon spell. Very cool. I love it. And then we have their appendix N, so to speak. And then we're starting to get into the adventure hooks, random assignment tables, and all the other stuff. So that's the Nebulith. And some final thoughts. I think, like Alex Hopson had said, I think he like lives in Okinawa and he's been there for a while. This is like a love letter to Okinawa, and I think the two of them have done exactly what they wanted to do: honor the culture and the traditions, but also make a Lamentations of the Flame Princess product. Like, this is weird. it's dangerous. It's kind of scary at times, right? But you got all these awesome options for your players, and new things to think about for your games. Like I said, I'm already mining it. One of these days I will run it, because I'm one of these Westerners that kind of fell in love with the romanticized stories of the samurai and whatnot when I was a teenager. I think I read the Hagakure, and then I read Miyamoto Musashi's Book of the Five Rings. Then I was reading like the Three Pillars of Zen and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great book. Totally worth it. I highly recommend it. If you made it this far in the video, dear viewer, please hit like, subscribe, bell icon, yada, yada, yada. And Friday nights, this channel, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gary and I have a live stream called The Second Watch, where we talk about games. We have a good time. It's very relaxed. We have guests at times too. We'd love to see you there and chat. But until next time, take it easy, everyone.